Hello viewers, this is Muhammad Shafi Lone and you're watching Gosh, English Language and Literature. In this episode, we shall study an American poet, Robert Frost. We shall deal with one of his most famous poems, The Road Not Taken. We shall study this poem under 6 heads. First of all, a brief introduction to the poet and his thought. Second, a quick reading of the poem. A brief analysis of the poem, literary device used, form of the poem, and the conclusion. Let us start. Robert Frost was born in San Francisco, California, in the United States of America in 1874. Robert Frost died in 1963. Seeking better literary opportunities, Robert Frost moved to England, where he got his first book of poems published under the title A Boy's Will. Then there was no looking back, and Robert Frost achieved tremendous literary success. He got the Pulitzer Prize 4 times, making him the only author, the only poet to have won the prize, the prestigious prize, 4 times. If we try to look at the thought process, the philosophy behind the author's works, we come to the conclusion that Robert Frost is important. The main theme was man and his relationship and position in this universe. Robert Frost believed that man is in isolation. He has been thrown into this dark and desolate world where he is without help. And Robert Frost believed that man is isolated from his own species, he is isolated from God, he is isolated from the universe. Moreover, Robert Frost believed that although it seems that man has a choice in life, that man has a free will, but in truth, man has no free will. He has no choice in life, because apparently it seems that man has choice, but he does not know where that choice will lead him. He is a victim of fate. Now let us go for a quick reading of the poem. 2 roads diverge in a yellow wood, and sorry, I could not travel both. And be one traveller, long I stood, and looked down one as far as I could, to where it bent in the undergrowth. Then took the other as just, as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear, though as for that, the passing there had warned them really about the same. And both that morning equally lay, and leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day, yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh. Somewhere ages and ages hence, 2 roads diverge in a yellow wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. Now let us go for a brief analysis of the poem. Robert Frost is trying to say something through an extended metaphor in this poem. An extended metaphor is a metaphor that runs throughout the poem, throughout the work. A metaphor, first of all, is the comparison of 2 dissimilar things. For example, if I say all the world is a stage, world is something different from a stage. A stage is a place where play or drama is staged, in which actors come and go and play their part. But there is some similarity here with the world also. In this world, people come and go and play their part. In the same way, here Robert Frost is trying to put a person through a jungle. Here jungle can be compared with the world. And in the manner a man is beset with a lot of problems in this world, this person who is walking through the jungle is beset with problems. One particular problem that he's beset with is that the road he's walking on forks into 2. The road splits into 2, and he's having a practical problem which road to choose, whether he should go right or to the left. And he says, two roads diverge in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both. And it's an autumn day, or the foliage, the leaves are yellowish, and he is sorry he cannot travel both. He could not travel both. Or practically he can't travel both. And be one travel along I stood, and looked down one as far as I could, to where it bent in the undergrowth. As I said earlier in the introduction, that he is beset with a problem where he has to choose one out of two. Now, what he has to do, he is unable to make a decision quickly. Now, he gets hypnotized for some time, and he tries to examine the choice he has to make. Then look down as far as I could to where it bent in the undergrowth. Now he tries to examine where the road leads, but the road gets obscured under the foliage. He is not able to see properly where the road leads. Again, he is hinting towards a problem with man, with human beings, that they seem to have a choice, they seem to have a free will, but they don't know where that choice will lead them, because they try to make plans in their life, but sometimes they are taken unawares by fate. Then took the other as just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim. And he now examines one road, then takes another road, and thinks that he has made a good choice because it is grassy and wanted where he thinks the second road that he has opted for is grassy, and not many people have walked on that road, though as for that the passing there had warned them really about the same. But when he walks over that road, he comes to believe that no, lots of people have walked on that road as well. We can compare this situation with a person, with a student who examines the choices in life, where he has to opt between two subjects, and he comes to a conclusion, or the folks tell him that he should choose, or she should choose a particular subject because it is having less saturation, it is not saturated. But when he studies, or when she studies that subject, pursues that career, he or she comes to the conclusion that lots of people have failed in that area as well. And both that morning equally lay in leaves no step had trodden black, but he is confused again and believes that no, both the roads that he had to choose between were after all good for him. Oh, I kept the first for another day. Yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. And saying that both that morning equally lay in leaves no step had trodden black, that means not many people had walked over either of the roads. Then he fantasizes that if he could walk the first road as well, but then he thinks, yet knowing how way leads on to way, but he believes that one way will lead to another way, then yet another way, and his whole life will be spent. I doubted if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh. At the end of his life, he will be telling his people, his kids, somewhere ages and ages hence, two roads diverge in a yellow wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. Now, in the last end, it seems that he has made a good choice, and he is trying to boast about that, or he is content and satisfied with his choice. But there's another problem with the last stanza, that the first line is, I shall be telling this with a sigh. You say something with a sigh with a sense of regret, but apparently the last four lines are optimistic in tone. So there is again a kind of a confusion here. So if we try to examine the whole poem, there is a kind of confusion running throughout the poem. Incongruity is there. Why is it so? Perhaps Robert Frost is trying to say that life is like that. Life is full of confusions. Life is full of conundrums, paradoxes, ironies. Now let us go for the literary devices used in the poem. The main literary device used in this poem is extended metaphor that I have already explained. Another literary device used is irony. In the last stanza, the poet says, I shall be telling this with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages hence, two roads diverge in a yellow wood, and I took the one less travelled by. The last four lines of the last stanza seem to be optimistic. The first line of the last stanza seems to be pessimistic, or the poet seems to be regretful or full of sorrow. So this incongruity, that poet is trying to project himself to his people that he has made a good choice, but in the heart of hearts he is having some kind of remorse, regret. What is irony? Irony is the state of affairs or a situation which seems to be strange or contrary to the expectations. So when he says, I shall be telling this with a sigh, then we think that there will be a kind of regret throughout the stanza. But no, he comes up with something optimistic. So another kind of incongruity in the poem. Now about the form of the poem. This poem has been written in 4 stanzas. Each stanza is having 5 lines. The rhyme scheme of the poem is A, B, A, B. The rhyme scheme of a poem is the pattern or scheme of rhyme, and rhyme in turn is the correspondence or matching of the end sounds in 2 lines of a poem. Let us try to conclude the poem. So it would be apt to say that, like many other poems by Robert Frost, like Mending Wall, Fire and Ice, in this poem also Robert Frost is trying to project an image of man, that how isolated and limited the scope of man is, that he seems to have choices in life, but he is not having much in his command. With this, we end our today's episode. If you have any suggestions, drop your suggestions in the comment section below, and do like and subscribe the channel. Thank you very much.